In this video, we're going to go over leg yielding from the ground. To do that is you're going to send your horse out on a circle around you. I've got Spyderman here. He's a 3-year-old Irish Draught, and he's a good candidate for this. So I've had him in training here for a little while and getting him going. But the leg yield is a great way to start getting them to bend through their body. Horses that tend to want to lean in, it's because they're not flexing through their body. So a leg yield really helps out with that. And so how we determine is, as we're going around on the circle here, I'm looking for 3 things. Do I have forward rhythm? Do I have a nice circle? And do I have a bend through the horse's body? So I'm going to scale that on a scale from 1 to 10, each one of those. So the forward rhythm, I'd give it about a 6, a little bit more. You know, he could be just a little bit more, but it's not, this isn't bad. The circle is about a 7, he's doing pretty well. And the bend's about a 6. So all of those are pretty good. If I'm getting 6 or more on each one of those, I'm feeling pretty good. Now the bend could be a little bit better, so how I can help with that is I'm going to recognize where is the horse not flexing. So with him, it's roughly right in the middle of his rib cage. So I can start off by doing some leg yield. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to pick up my lead rope hand slightly towards his hind end, and then I'm going to walk right into the rib cage and enlarge that circle out a few strides, and then I allow him to go back to the circle again. So it's like I'm taking the circle and moving it over a few strides. So again, I'll show you that. As we're coming around, I pick the lead rope hand up towards his hind end, walk into the part of him that needs to go out. Now he's sped up there, and that's okay. He still moved out, so that's good. A lot of horses, when you ask for that, they're just going to speed off, go faster. So you may have to put a little more feel on the rope, or you may have to walk in just a little bit quicker to say, hey, yes, I do mean, there we go, until they learn that it's not about going faster, it's about following the intent. So when my intent is let's go walk out, like in the leg yield, I'm putting energy into his rib cage. I'm saying, step your body out. Because the leg yield is the horse is bent away from the direction they're going, and they're going laterally and forward at the same time. So they're going off at a diagonal. So he's going forward plus stepping out. There, that was really nice. So you're getting a crossover with the front and hind legs. That's what we're looking for. And that crossover is going to help flex the rib cage and get a better bend through his body. So we're on the new direction here. So we first just have to check in to go, okay, what do we have? Do we have a nice forward rhythm? Do we have a nice circle? And do we have bend? And all of those aren't bad again. So we'll just practice a little leg yield anyway. So I'm going to take my lead rope hand, lift it slightly towards the hind end, and then I'm going to walk right into my horse and say, step on out there. Now another common issue is as you walk in, you just get closer and closer, and the horse is like, oh, I don't need to move out. So make sure the space, like the space between me and Spyderman, stays the same. So as I walk into him, he has to go out. And then I don't get closer to him. A lot of times as people walk in, they get closer and closer and the horse is like, oh, I don't need to move. So if that happens, get firm enough with your stick. Just tap them underneath to say, hey, I do mean let's go out. Let's step out and about. Let's do a little bit of leg yield. And it's just a couple steps. Then I go back to the circle. Your circle's going to move some, but that's okay. So it's a great exercise of getting them to step up and underneath them, and then you're saying, okay, now back to the circle. Nice job. So he's doing that well at the walk. Now, the length of rope is all dependent on the communication you have with your horse. If you get too long, you're not going to really have any connection. If you get too short, you're going to feel like you can't be effective in saying, hey, get out there. So you have to find the balance point between how much rope you need. Typically what I like is about 6 feet, about this close at the walk. So it's close enough to where I can reach out and touch his belly if I need to with the stick, but it's far enough away for me to actually be effective. But you just play with it. Play with the length of rope. If you get too far out here, if I'm too long at the walk here, now as I go to pick up the rope, it doesn't really do much to his face. And I go walk in, then I have to walk in closer to him, and he just kind of walked out of it. He never really did a leg yield. So if you feel like there's not a connection there, shorten the line. Odds are you're going to be longer than you need to be. Most people tend to err on being too long than being too short, but that's something just to play with. Now at the trot, the length is going to be longer because the horse needs more space here. So I'm going to give maybe 8 to 10 feet. This is a 12-foot line, so I've got about 2 foot hanging over, so I'm at about 10 feet. Now he's a big horse, so I might need to walk a circle with him for him to be able to keep that circle going. Because the smaller the circle you make it, the harder it is for your horse to maintain that circle. It's a lot harder to go around on a small circle than a big circle. But the bigger you make your circle, especially the longer the rope is, the harder it is to communicate with them. So it's again finding the balance between how big, how much rope do you need to give, and how short do you have to have it to communicate. See, I can walk a circle here, and that helps to give him a bigger circle for him to walk. So if I stop my feet and just pivot, he has to trot on a much smaller circle. So I'm going to walk a little bit, but when I do that, I want to stay on the center of the circle. Don't get out in front or don't get behind. See, if I get too far behind, he just disengages. So you're going to kind of stay right in the center here. Okay, so now, again, we're going in. Okay, do we have a nice forward rhythmic trot? Pretty good. Give it about a 6, 6.5. Do we have a nice circle? It's about a 7, maybe a 7.5. And how about the bend? The bend, it's about a 6. He's leaning on me a little bit. So we're going to help him with a leg yield. So again, I'm going to take my lead rope hand. I'm going to lift it towards his hind end and walk into him. Now that he's trotting, I have to move my feet a little quicker. And you're going to walk, or if you have to go faster, you're going to go straight into them. Don't go around. Sometimes what people want to do is they want to go around with them like this faster. It's as he's going, lift your lead rope up and then go right into the rib cage. There you go. Nice. Right back into the trot circle. And yes, that was really nice. Right back into the trot circle. And then I can invite him on in. Good. So that's that direction. And then we can go the other direction. So from the ground, this leg yield is really helpful in getting the bend in the horse's body and getting them responsive to you. This distance between me and the horse, does it mean something? Does your intent mean what it says? So it's like I'm filling this space up between me and the horse. There's a bubble there. It's his job to stay right into that bubble. Press right on the bubble. Don't press more, because if he does, then he's going to run into something physical. And then as I do the leg yield here, I go into him, he feels that and goes on out with me. Right back to the circle, and leg yield again. My hand goes towards the hind end, stepping into him, out and around. Now, don't worry if this doesn't just work right away. It's going to take a little bit of time to get this, because the common things are, as you step into them, they're going to want to just kind of speed off and go faster. So if they do that, got to bring them back, get them relaxed and comfortable at the lower gate again, and then ask again. And if they just keep doing that over and over again, then maybe you just do it at the higher speed and say, hey, even though you're going faster isn't what I wanted, you're going to still have to give me some effort of a little bit of a leg yield. So that's a great way to start implementing the leg yield from the ground. It's our basic lateral movement, and it really helps to build that connection between you and your horse, and starts getting them to engage that inside hind a bit, and getting them to lift their shoulder up and start flexing their body, start stretching the outside of their body so they can come around, because usually they're dropping that shoulder because they're not flexing through their rib cage enough, engaging the inside hind. So it's a great place to start, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.